you need to come in, or we're gonna meet with some people and discuss whether or not you should continue to be here. That's the hello. So what's up? It's been a minute. I've been trying to pretty much my focus has been learning the job. Try not to be too distracted with other things, but there are definitely some videos I want to make, and I'm trying my best to get to them. So I figured this one might be the most important one at the time. So I'm with Schneider. I've been with Schneider for about more than 30 days. So I want to give you guys kind of like an overview, in my opinion, about my experience with Schneider, for those of you who are interested in joining Schneider. Now, I'm with Schneider and I'm on a dedicated account, which is the Costco account. And so what I am aware of at this very moment is that I will have to be very selective about things that I say throughout my video, because I know there's people who watch my channel who also work for Schneider, and there are some people who like getting little dry biscuits by telling on other people. They like consuming the little dry biscuits they get from telling on other people. So, but for real, I really don't have nothing to worry about, because I don't be doing nothing ridiculous or extra or anything I ain't supposed to be doing. So I really ain't worried about that, but still, you never know. So anyway, first 30 days with Schneider on a dedicated account. I will say I've had a good experience. I have had a good experience so far. Now, I will say I give Schneider big ups and points for things that pertain directly to me being a new person, being a newbie, a rookie in this industry. I feel like Schneider has done a good job of handling me as a new driver, someone who's new to the industry. I actually feel like they've done an exceptional job. So I would say my opinion is mostly based off of someone who's brand new in this industry, and how my experience has been with Schneider as handling someone who's brand new. So I will give you a couple of things that is super important to understand how I feel like how they're great. So, well, ain't nobody great, but they're really good. They've been really good for me. So this is what happened. There's a couple of things that's happened that I feel like if they had not handled it the way that they handled it, I probably would have left the industry, because I would have felt completely defeated and I would have felt overwhelmed by being in this particular job field. So thing number one, some of you might already know this story. Literally my second load, I turn a corner and my trailer clips the front of another truck driver. Okay. I'm bringing this up because two things happened that day, and those two things really, if Schneider had handled things differently, I probably would have left. Not just Schneider, I would have just left the industry, because I would have felt completely defeated. So I clipped this truck. I call Schneider's overnight services. They tell me what I need to do. I call their insurance company. The insurance company has he and the other driver and me exchange information. That gets handled. How they handled this particular situation, and I'll get into what happened also that day. So how they handled that particular situation is that they called me. Somebody from there called me and went over the accident. Like, we went over details, like where the truck was parked, where I was, where I went at, what I was doing, how I did my maneuver to get in there, and just a lengthy conversation on what I did, what I could have done better. And it wasn't like, oh, you should have blah, 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 blah. He calmly talked to me about, well, when you do this, you do that. And, just kind of asked me what I felt, how the situation could have been, or what I felt went wrong in that situation. And it definitely wasn't accusatory or pointing the finger, you. It wasn't like that at all. And I definitely expected that. I expected, you need to come in, and we're gonna meet with some people and discuss whether or not you should continue to be here. That's the conversation I expected, but that's not what happened. So the guy was very calmly talking about, he gave me some stories about his own life, which was very helpful. He gave me one key clue, and he was talking about how when you're a new driver, the difference between new drivers and people who've been in the industry for a while, new drivers don't necessarily know what they cannot do. Like going to truck stops, new drivers will think they can park in a particular parking spot that no one else has tried to park into, and they just thinking it's an open spot. But there's a reason why no one else has parked in it, is because other more experienced drivers know that you probably should not try to park there. And I felt like that was a really good point, because when you're new, you're just like, oh, you're thinking that something can't be done because you just don't have the skill to do it, when it's actually that it's just something you probably just shouldn't do. And I've learned that a lot with this Costco account. There's a lot of times I'm trying to maneuver and back into the dock, and you know, it's the way some of the parking lots are set up, it's really tricky on how you're gonna have to maneuver in there. And a lot of times there's other truck drivers sitting in the way because they're in the spot that they think is best to get into that dock, and they don't want to move out of your way so you can get in there. So anyway, he made a good point with that, and I felt like how Schneider handled that with talking to me and going over the things I need to do, and you know, just kind of like some extra training. That was awesome. I felt like how they handled that and me in that situation was really beneficial to me. So that same day, going back to the same day that I had that accident, you know, this is my second load. I'm in Costco's account, so I'm in the Costco parking lot. Now, you know, I'm already kind of flustered and frustrated because I just had an accident. Like, I just started this job and already had an accident. So I'm trying to leave out of there. And by this time, some customers have started coming in, and I'm trying to maneuver myself out of the parking lot. And there's trees, and there's, you know, the little concrete mediums, there's cars. And like I said, this is my second load. So I'm like, I have not had to deal with this before. Like, I have to worry about these trees, these concrete mediums, and people's cars. And I'm trying to maneuver out of there, and I just could not figure out how to get out of there because, you know, I think I'm in the state of high stress already because I'm like, I just had an accident. I cannot have another. You know, I'm like, because at this point, all I've talked to is insurance people. I have not talked to anyone from Schneider yet about the accident, because I don't know what they're going to do. And so, because that conversation I just told you about, it happened like a couple of days later where the guy talked to me about what happened during the accident. So I'm just like, I mean, I was like literally having a breakdown. And so I called our team leader, and I was just like, I basically was like, you know, I'm stuck. I can't get this truck out of here. I'm ready to go home. Like, I was so frustrated. I was like, I just can't do it. This ain't working for me. This job ain't working for me. Obviously, I don't know what I'm doing. Obviously, I don't need to be in this industry. I just need to just park this truck, get out, and go the fuck home. So that's where my mindset was. I promise you, it was just like, I'm done. This ain't working for me. So he calmly, thank goodness, talked to me about, well, he was like, okay, so what this is going to require is some slow maneuvers, some slow backing maneuvers. If necessary, see if there's another driver there that can help you. And I've heard about other drivers helping you, honey. They ain't about to help you. Unless they're from another company. Like, other Schneider drivers, so far, I ain't saying this is everybody, but so far, the Schneider drivers will not help you. I've had people from other companies get out their trucks and be like, hey, you can back in and you can turn here. I've had people do that. So I was just like, at the time, there really wasn't nobody out there anyway. So I didn't have nobody to ask. So I was just like, they're not about to let me off the hook. I gotta get this truck out here, and I gotta do it on my own. So I was like, okay. And I was just like, man, why is he making me do this? I just want to be done. I want to just park this truck, grab my keys, grab the keys out of the truck, go home. Because literally, the funny thing is, this store, it was like less than 10 minutes from my house. I could have went home for real. And so he talked me into thinking through where I was at and calmly figuring out how to get out of that situation. And I was able to. I was able to pull out of there. I didn't hit nobody's car. I didn't run over nothing. I was able to pull myself out of there and get back on the road. And so I really appreciated how that was handled as well. So then I had a third situation that came up, and this was probably like just a week later. I'm telling you, it was like, it was crazy. My first week. And so, I don't know how this camera got, there we go. So yeah, like a week later, I get another situation, and I'm just like, oh my God. So I'm driving, and I'm going into, there's a couple of, I don't know, it seems like Minnesota, when you get closer up to Minneapolis, like there's no road that isn't construction. A bunch of detours and a bunch of freaking construction. So it's like, okay, I'm a newbie. I'm rolling up there. And I'm rolling. And, I'm following the company's GPS, which, that stuff isn't always updated, especially when it's a bunch of construction. So I'm rolling. I'm like, cool. I'm rolling. And then at the last moment, I see turn here for detour for, I think it's 169. And I'm like, I'm rolling, but I'm like, when I saw it, I was rolling through the intersection when I saw it, because the way that you could have gone through was to go through the intersection versus via the company map. You go through the intersection, you keep going down this road and you wrap around. Well, with the construction, you don't do that. You have to turn there. And so I'm rolling, and I see it as I'm going through the intersection. So I can't do no crazy turns and just turn. So I was like, oh my God, what's about to happen? That's the way I'm supposed to go. What is about to happen? So I'm driving, and I see the street in front of me is completely tore up. Like, it ain't even there no more. It's just dirt and machinery. And I'm like, okay, so I'm like stuck in front of people's houses right now. I'm stuck in front of somebody's house. It's like a bunch of houses, all residential where I'm at right now. Like, so what am I gonna do? I'm thinking that I have to, because I see a bunch of residential houses. I'm like, I don't know what the power lines, the tree lines, I don't want to be tearing up nobody's neighborhood. So I'm like, that means I got to turn around and do a U-turn. You cannot do that. Like, company policy says you cannot do U-turns. So I'm frustrated. I'm upset. I'm just like, here we go. Something else stupid that's happening. And, it's my fault because I didn't pay attention to the signs. So I call the company, and he's like, well, we're going to have to try to, he was like, well, you're going to have to try to get a hold of the local law enforcement there and tell them it's a non-emergency, and tell them that they need to come out, that you need some assistance in turning around and blah, blah, blah. So that I do call them, I get non-emergency, police officer comes out, and, well, first he told me to call state police, so I called state police, and he's like, well, if we come out, we're going to do an inspection. We will have to do an inspection if we come out. But if you call the local police, they can probably escort you and so forth. So I was like, yeah, I'm calling the local police, because we ain't about to do no inspection right here. No, sir. So I called local police, and he's like, okay, whatever. Because the story is a little backstory between that two. I ain't about to get in that. But he's like, oh, okay, whatever. Because he really didn't want to do it. He thought the state police was going to do it. He was like, okay, well, whatever. I guess I'll do it then. So he basically told me, he was like, just make a left turn and you can drive through this residential neighborhood right here. Just make a left turn and go down the road here. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, cool, maybe I can just turn around and go through there. So I go around and I go ahead and turn through there. And that wasn't the best idea, because my truck is just like barely, it's scraping people's trees. And I barely was able to get under this power line that was over there. I had to get out of my truck and make sure that I could clear this power line. And I was barely able to clear it. So let's just say that was a very frustrating day. But once again, my experience with Schneider as a newbie was that how they handled me being in that situation and helping me to help myself out of it. I really appreciated that. And that's what I've had with my experience with them, when things came up and, you know, stressful situations came up, their reaction, their treatment of me in that situation was, I think, was very pleasant and very helpful for somebody who's new. So let's get into what else would you might want to know about the 30-day experience. Okay, so what about loads? So the loads are consistent. They were very much, when I very first started, it was back to back. Like I was just running hard all the time. But I always got my home time. So that's another thing I really like about them. When I request home time, I get it. No questions asked. Like literally no questions asked. When I request home time, I get it. And how the thing is set up is it's 5 days out, 2 days home. So that works out perfect anyway. But my 2 days home, I can pretty much take it kind of any time, but I always try to make sure I take it when I'm about to run out of hours anyway. When my 34-hour reset's coming up, that's when I go and take my 2 days home. But whenever I schedule my 2 days home, even if it's before my 34-hour reset is due, I get it. There's no questions asked. I take the time and I come back. So I appreciate how my time at home works. The loads were consistent. Now I'm saying were because currently this particular week, we're in October right now. We're towards the end of October. And this particular week, I've been sitting so I'm out for 5 days, and out of those 5 days so far, I've been sitting for 2, not consecutive, but 2 out of those 5 days. And, but I will say they did give me a long, kind of like lengthy load, where I went from here in Minnesota to Gary, Indiana, from Gary, Indiana up to or down to Terre Haute, Indiana. I think it's up to Terre Haute, Indiana, and then back to Minnesota. So it was a pretty long, lengthy run. It was actually 2 different loads, and so that was good. That still gives me money. And then when my truck was broken down, they did pay me breakdown pay, so that was good. Also, I'm sitting in a brand new truck. When I got this truck only had like a little over 300 miles on it. It was like 372. So I'm the first person to really be in this truck. Like all the plastic was still on everything. I'm the first person in this truck. So that's really nice. I got a brand new truck. I get pretty consistent miles. It's slow right now, but I think it's slow in the industry, period. So that is what it is. I've liked how they handled things with me when I was in stressful situations. They handled it calmly. I'm trying to think of anything else. That the pay for this dedicated account, I think, is very competitive. It's for daytime drivers, it's 61 cents per mile. For nighttime drivers, it's 65 cents per mile for reefer. And so yeah, the miles are pretty good up until this week. Like I said, it's been slow. Miles are pretty good. Pay is pretty good. How they've treated me in my experience so far has been favorable, something that I am comfortable with. So yeah, try not to make this video too long. That's what I can think of for right now. I'm trying to think of anything else. No, like pay is good. I'm being respected as a driver, as a person, and my home time, I get it when I want it. So to me, that's overall a pretty good package. So let me know what you guys, any questions you guys have about Schneider, leave it in the comment section below here, and I'll definitely do my best to get back with you guys and answer your questions. And thank you so much for stopping by. If you want more trucking videos from me, more of my experience as a rookie from me, subscribe to this channel, and please give me a like. Please give me a like. Talk to you guys next time. Bye bye for now.